And I don't understand, how is it at the rodeo, there was not one 911 missed dial?
We shut the cell tower down. We shut down the cell tower.
But at the car show, it's just insane.
Outside the box right there.
13 years old.
Yeah, well, now.
Todd, what happened to that 2024 yesterday?
Oh, there was a crash, wasn't it? I went through there and something happened.
Okay, we're good to go.
Which way were the cars going? This car was this way, and had a dent in the right rear.
That was,
And the other guy was facing the other.
Someone crossed over.
But they didn't take the time to make the
it ran for maintenance. Guy was trying to back up to do what you did.
Oh, because I couldn't figure out how much he could be going this way, and she could be going this way.
Well, they didn't have.
And you get it.
He's backing up to do you first, he tries to avoid it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I thought I got asked.
Why would you do that on main highway?
Yeah, and I was trying to get the intersection. I could have fit it, and then I'm
We're
getting.
good.
We'll see by the time I went.
No, we're good down there.
I will call this meeting of the Waupaca County Law Enforcement Committee meeting to order on Tuesday, July 14th at 10:30. This meeting and all other meetings of this committee are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given to the media in accordance with Wisconsin statutes so that the citizenry may be aware of the time, place, and agenda of this meeting. Roll call shows that all members are present. We need a motion to approve the agenda. Please remember to state your name before making your motion or speaking.
Will move.
Already second.
Motion by Will, second by second to approve the agenda. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Minutes of the previous meeting, it should be June 8th and June 15th, 2021. And there are some amendments to that, if I can call your attention to it. Kim has added in the new one that you got, I asked her to tell us what the minor correction was on the first page, and she has clarified that it was 300 feet. And then the second correction is the back side of the front, page one that we got, was not included. So she has now included all that information with the new meeting minutes. So with that amendment, and she will then go back to last month's minutes and make those two corrections in those minutes so that they're out there for the public to see. That's what they did, as well as having this particular one. So any questions on what I would like to approve with those amendments? Okay, if not, I need a motion to approve the minutes as amended of June 8th and June 15th.
Buck, so moves.
Thank you.
Captain seconds.
Moves, Kevin seconds to amend the minutes as we presented them. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Thank you. With that, we'll move on to public comment. And I see no public, so we will then move on to approve and sign the bills. Carl, is there anything you'd like to draw our attention to?
Well, on page 7 of 13, Wax Bank, West, just so it's clarified, any new members or any, but that is our gas bill. That's the individual that manages it with our cards and stuff. It's going up, gas price. Gas prices are going up, just so you're aware of that. We've already had questions in the past about wax. And it looks Wax Bank, that is our gas bill for squad cars and stuff. The only questions I asked of, by going through the bills is, Also on page 6 of 13. Samuel's group, that was on chairs for the sheriff's office. If I'm correct. And Ohio Calibration is dealing with our radars as far as the calibration.
Repair, done.
And repair.
This one was repair.
Sometimes that, when I see different names and stuff, I have to ask exactly what that's about. So them are the one thing that I wasn't familiar with on this go around. If there's something else.
Sure.
I was happy to see 13 pages. That's what.
On page 9, on the top, that is for the correctional health care company, that 55,000, is that like a premium or?
It's a monthly invoices.
Okay. You gotta get healthier.
Questions by anybody else? My question is on page 4, because I don't ask the big questions, I ask the little
Yeah,
questions.
yeah.
Gifts for police week, sheriff department, quick trip. One was $15, and I figured if you took 15 into the other one, that was like 41, like gas cards, what's that?
Oh, it's gift cards.
Gift cards
The officers.
for who all got them,
Every officer.
every officer, okay, is that office staff too?
No, that would include all patrol,
Okay,
all detectives, all admin and patrol.
okay, I just didn't know. Very good.
Comes out of your pocket then and do it.
Came out of the sheriff's, account for me, my expenses, I took it out of there.
And every year, pretty much.
Every year.
Any other questions? If not, I need a motion to approve.
To approve.
Will second.
Motion by Supervisor Coleman, seconded by Supervisor Will to approve and sign the bills. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. That, we then go to the communications center.
All right, for the month of June, we took in 9,734 phone calls, 67,767 radio transmissions going in and out, for a grand total of 77,501. You're gonna see on here, coming up now with Marion on board with us, you're gonna see the Waupaca Clintonville numbers being smaller and the Sheriff 1 numbers for radio transmissions going up. Because Marion is now on our Sheriff 1 with us. And it's actually working out better for Marion. They had a hard time hearing Clintonville sometimes, so us with being on Sheriff 1 and the Shogger Tower being just out in the outskirts of Marion, everything's been working out real well for Marion now, even in their buildings. They can hear us a lot better. But their radio traffic has increased the activity in the comm center. So, and we're taking the complaints from Marion PD as well. So you're gonna see that the Clintonville PD numbers go down a little bit, you're gonna see Sheriff 1 going up. That's the reason why for that. And then also good news, we have 2 people that have accepted positions, Carrie DeBeast and, or Carrie Schumacher and Macy DeBeast. And Carrie will be starting August 2nd, and Macy hasn't given me a confirmation yet. So I gotta get some FTOs training, because I'm short of FTOs as well. So once some schools come up for FTO training, we'll get some more people in for FTO training and keep going from there. Just keep plugging along.
Do we have more, because we have 4 vacancies and this sounds like 2 of them are filled? Do we have more candidates out there?
Yeah, we've got background still going on. I kind of lost track because I'm, but I think we have 2 backgrounds being done yet, and then we have more interviews coming up.
Yeah, I have a question. As long as we're in such a, you want to speed things up, we can do the credit call, pep test, and why don't we just, if you don't mind, we'll interview them immediately, right after all that's done. That'll speed that portion up, and then we can right away send them to background.
Well, why can't we know and why can't we ask us, like if Dick and I and Dwayne can? I mean, because you have to know when you get the report. You know, it doesn't have to be scheduled a week out if we can get together more.
Because what we're running into is, I have the people here taking the critical test and PEP test. They're here. Now they're done with the critical and the PEP, they leave, and then I call them back, when would you be available for an interview? Well, I gotta work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I couldn't come in Thursday and Friday. So then I call you folks, and it's like, Thursday, Friday work for an interview. It's either yay or nay. So then I have to call the applicant back to make an arrangement for a possible different date. But here I've got them here at HR doing the test, doing the PEP test. As soon as they're done with the PEP test, we have them here yet. Let's pull them into the side room right there next to Mandy and have the interview.
So then my question is, are you scheduling the PEP tests, whatever these things are, like on the same day for 2 people or whatever?
We schedule the PEP test the same time they do the critical test.
Whatever's convenient for them.
Right, right.
How much in
Could be
advance
one
are you
person
scheduling
today, 2 tomorrow.
How much in advance am I scheduling them?
for the critical?
Oh, for the, whatever's convenient for them to come in for the critical test. So once Dana makes the appointment, she lets me know when they're coming in.
Advance test, because you let them know.
I could do that, yeah.
I mean, if we know when they're coming,
Mhm.
you know, why could we not schedule the interview for following the whatever?
Okay,
You could if you want to come here for one person. Sure, you can do that. We're not gonna, because we're not.
Well, you only got 2 positions to go so far
I know, but we're not gonna be able to get multi people in the same time.
at the
Right.
same time.
right.
I'm just reticent to not have anybody here from the committee or whatever, because then pretty soon Adam will say, well, that works so well for Shane. How about if I don't have you come in for corrections? And then pretty soon Todd will say, well, for patrol, we want to get them done right away. And then the committee's totally left out. It's all that I'm saying, and I think it's important.
And I don't think that would happen. The problem here is the heightened immediate response we have to do to get these people hired.
Oh, I totally understand.
Whereas patrol and corrections, they could go for months without a fill-in. Yeah, we're really at a point where people are ready to just call in sick, and then we're gonna end up with 1 person in dispatch. Forcing in someone, physically having to go pick them up if that's what it takes. We don't wanna do that. It's getting to that point, Pat. It's kind of an emergency right now. This is kind of outside the norm. And sometimes we have to react to that. That's all we're asking. If you want to be notified for 1 person, absolutely, we can do that.
Well, and I'd like to talk with Andy about it too first, but I think it's important that the committee is involved and just because I think we do add something to that, although we generally go along with, you know, recommendations that y'all have. But I still think, I mean, and there may be times when I can't make it and Dave can, or Dwayne can, whatever. You know what I'm saying? That it should be that we would be available to do it. Dick, what do you think? You're on both personnel. and-
Well, I say put it out there, and if we can be there, because we'll be there. If we can't, too bad. Continue on.
That's the way I'm sort of.
So even if it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we're all good with that too, because some of these folks that are coming in, the applicants coming in, they're coming in 1:30, 2 o'clock, and, you know, they're leaving at 4 when they're done with the test, so.
As long as before milking the cows.
Well, we don't have to worry about that anymore, right?
Or,
Okay.
you know, if it was early morning or late night,
Sure.
whatever, just
Well,
let us know what's going
I'll
on.
coordinate that with Dana when she has them scheduled for the test and the PEP. I'll have her include you guys in on the emails.
Okay,
So,
perfect, thank you, I
Yep.
appreciate that. But yes, I agree, we need to get that done so that we don't have all of the overtime and the burnout. I can imagine that's starting to happen with people having to work so much. Thank you, anything else?
one more thing I want to do is start, Carl and I were talking about is try to come up with tabulations on a monthly basis of our 911 misdials and hangups. Kathy brought it up to me, because thanks to Kathy, she's been helping out the comm center as well. So, Manilow Rodeo, people everywhere. Kathy brings it up to me. She said, it's so weird. We didn't have one 911 misdial or hang up during the
Not one.
rodeo. We had
The
one
entire weekend.
for the entire weekend at the rodeo.
Nothing during the parade, nothing, period, for the rodeo at all.
And you know, we were thinking, and I think the reason why is people are so jammed in, they're not moving. They're watching the rodeo, everything's great. Iowa Car Show, Carl was listening to the radio, he's like,
I was burning down my portable on a weekend and I could not believe the volume. It was every other call and I'm going, that's epidemic proportions. That you're getting that many 911 calls.
it's because everybody was out moving around and phones were jiggling in pockets and purses.
Oh.
Yeah, but still during the parade, you would think that there would be something.
You would think so, but you know, as many people that were probably just standing there waiting for candy to come or something. I don't know, but it's really, really fascinating what we're kind of finding out right now. But then again, you call all the other counties, they're all in the same predicament with all these cell phones.
But not everybody was at the rodeo, you know what I'm saying? It's
But it's just, I mean, I just
strange.
thought I'd throw it out there.
Yeah.
It's like, it's really weird.
Why I addressed it is, you know, with the capacity of the 911 center, all these calls come in, they are received, there's no way around it. I mean, we have enhanced 911. The call then has to be, the call taker has to try to figure out or drill down if that's a live call, on hold, a pocket dial or whatever. Then they have to address it with the officer if they choose to pursue that or we'll put it in the call comments and move on. So there is plenty of time being used up on all the volume of that. And I didn't know if our committee heard, you know, here's our calls, but it's a high volume. It is time consuming on ours. Just to address this, that's another thing we do as a service with the enhanced 911. That if we can get a handle on it or outreach to the public that, you know, care, and we've done it before, you know, as far as the 911, a little bit more care, but as far as the use of it, so.
Do we have many misdials from, I want to say, the businesses or the people who have, you know, the systems that are supposed to be like security?
From landlines.
Yes.
We do, and part of that problem still lies on dialing 9 to get out.
Yes. That's what happened to me.
Oh.
9 and 1.
9 and 1, and if one of the buttons stick,
There's 911.
it's
There you go.
911 right there.
And all of a sudden, a criminal officer walks in my front door.
We still have that policy of charging people if their business continues to do that, correct? Because we made a policy at one time that you only get X amount of misdials. I'll give you the example. The bar, I won't name which one, has a security system, but it's misdialing all the time, and so your officers are constantly having to check it. So we made the rule of if you have, and we can look it up, I can't remember what it was, X amount per month or whatever, the first 3 are free, and then beyond that, you get charged for us coming out.
Yeah, those are for alarm.
That's for alarm calls.
Okay, Ron, that's different than
Yes.
911.
Yes,
Okay, I thought alarm were.
Well, some alarm systems are designed to dial 911.
Yeah.
But,
Okay,
I mean, vets home, hospitals,
Fire departments have that same issue. Years ago, Marion, they had an alarm system, and if it went off, the plywood had that issue. It went off more than, than if we came out of the fire hall, if the truck left the fire hall, they got charged.
That's happening with half the fire department line,
Yeah. There's a lot of alarm systems like that.
that's so hard. So anyway, you're trying to solve the 911.
I think it's just public awareness.
it's just, it's public awareness. I mean, because a lot of people, they jam these in their coffee or their mug holder in their car, and it's bouncing around, and, so.
Okay. Well, maybe we can do some kind of information.
Well, we can send another thing on Facebook again, like we did a while back, so.
Absolutely. Any other questions of Shane?
It was brought up before the meeting that we do not pay extra for night shifts. I don't understand that. I mean, if you're, I mean, this is new to me, but I would assume the night shift gets paid more than the day shift. So I don't know if you gotta go to somebody else, but I mean, if we're requesting these people to work in the night shift, I would think they should be paid more than the day shift, but I mean, I don't know that everybody's opinion on that, but I was surprised when they said there's not a differential in night shift, day shift.
That would have to go through human resources because
So, but I don't know what the sheriff or these guys think, but
I agree 100%, 50 cents minimum.
yeah, so I don't know. As a committee, we want to pursue that. You see, we cannot get people to work for us in the evening and we're short all the time. I think that's maybe would help. But it's industry wide. Most people get paid more when they're working a night shift than they do day shifts. So, I mean, that's just my opinion, but I just, when we were talking before the meeting, I thought I'd bring it up. Whether you want to pursue it, I guess that's up to the committee, but
well, we can take it to, and I can ask Mandy to start with. Can we do that? Because.
Well, yeah, well, it's
then
gotta start.
other people.
The question is, can we?
Yeah.
Do we,
Yeah.
or should we?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's interesting is on the jail list server for all the jail administrators, they put a question out about a week ago on that because they're starting to have the same issues and the range anywhere between 25 and like 50 to 60 cents. There's probably a quarter to a third that actually have something in place. Now those are starting to look at it.
Okay. That's good to know.
Okay.
So we don't have to reinvent something if we don't have to, but we can figure it out. Okay. Anything else for Shane? All right, and let's move on to corrections.
I guess I got one correction right off the bat. Average inmate populations for the month, the total down there instead of 226 should be 208.
Say that number again.
226 should be 208.
Okay.
You see our numbers were low last month, and I'll explain here in a little bit of why. So we had some officers that had COVID, and then we had an inmate that wasn't feeling well, fell and had to go to the hospital and got tested and he had COVID. So then we brought, at that point, since the facility were in close contact, we brought the National Guard in on a Saturday, tested all the inmates, and we had, it was 4 at that time, 4 more come back. And then we did it the next 3 weeks after that. The second week after that, we had 2, I believe, and then we had 2 weeks of negative, of no one testing, additionally positive for it. So you back up, once we had that initial positive case, we contact probation, patrol, chiefs, everywhere. We pretty much shut our facility down. We didn't allow safekeepers in and out. We had to take precautionary measures. So we had that going on for a month, which kind of backtracked things, but we're back to normal and running full throttle again. Everything's turned out good. Just on the inmate fight, I had actually had 2 fights, but 1 fight, the person got hit pretty hard in the head, so we had to take him to the hospital for concussion protocol. Guy was fine, came back. We got pressing charges there. Looking at resuming the inmate programs again, because we're gonna do it last month, they shut it down with the church and clergy. And we're actually kind of resetting that to like a start over, because we haven't did about a year and a half. We're having all the volunteers apply again, getting some applications preliminaries and backgrounds just to make sure we're not missing anything. Employee updates, flat out, she's doing wonderful. Great asset to us at this, doing great in training. Mitch Buttercroft, that was supposed to come on board, he's got postponed. Probably looking at August, September, when he'll be able to start. I mean, he's got a few things he's got to take care of before he come over by us. So, nothing to worry about. I know we touched on it last month also, the Wood County Jail, they did get approved to build. And again, it's 3 years, 4 years probably minimal. So hopefully in that time frame, we can look around and see if we can find some other available suitors to bring in some extra revenue. And the only other thing I got is, I know we talked about the grant that I was completing up with some of the inmate Zoom and that we did last year. That's all complete. We submitted our final report. I think at some point we talked about an additional grant that was out there. Maybe we did or maybe we didn't, but we got approved for that. I'll need you to sign today. That's for $149,950. That's where we utilize, talk with the sheriff and everybody else here and figure out how we can try and utilize these funds to get this grant, and came up with ideas of the tough books for patrol, some monitors and cameras. It's all going to be kind of Zoom based and COVID based. So it all falls within that guidelines, and this can help offset our budget.
Have that here now? Because I may have to leave early.
Okay, good. Other than that, that's what I got.
Any questions?
Adam, what was the amount? of the grant?
$149,950.
Okay, we'll place that on file. Next up is detective division.
I will give some of the information on that. Julie is on vacation. Detective Division monthly report for the month of June. Detective Division it was indicated that complaints have increased. They're still busy, in my opinion, as far as the work they do down there. I see 3 child abuse, 1 sexual assault, burglaries, 1 theft, 10, and they served 16 search warrants. You know, when we say search warrants, I think it was explained. It could be phones brought in, it could be in-house search warrants, but you know, nobody thinks TV was out and about knocking on doors. It's not always that. I mean, you always see that we need search warrants for almost anything to do with legal, so that's what that comes up to be. And our narcotics division investigated an overdose death, and 3 people were taken into custody. I believe that was in the city of London, wasn't it? Yeah. And it turned in to be more extensive than just that, and they're doing a heck of a lot of work on that case. We have an assist to Clearville PD, and we had another search warrant in Waupaca County. Man taken into custody, delivery of meth, ecstasy, heroin, and I see him in the evidence area, and I just can't believe the amount of drugs that sometimes comes into this building, you know, into the sheriff's office that we have to package up and put in evidence. So they do a good job.
Thank you. Any questions? If not, then we'll move on to the patrol division. Captain Ryan.
All right, month of June 2021. Reportable crashes 35 compared to 39 a year ago. 0 fatalities for this year and last for June. Vehicles involved in those 35 crashes, 47 compared to 54 a year ago. We had 10 people hurt in those crashes compared to 9 a year ago. Accident involving drinking 1 compared to 5 a year ago. Year-to-date numbers. Reportable crashes, 196, 1 year ago, 139. Fatalities, nothing new over last month, 4. Fatal crashes, 3, and those 3 and 3 a year ago. Traffic arrests, 533, year-to-date numbers, 2,184. 1 year ago, 667, year-to-date, 1,611. Now, the traffic arrests are anything in writing, let me clarify, writing citations, a written warning, water patrol, snowmobile patrol, given the season. But them are not just on the road, them could be, and a large, some number will be water patrol. Along with the OWIs, which was 8, 74 year-to-date, 14 a year ago, 64 year-to-date. K-9 involvements for June, 8, year-to-date number 85, 1 year ago 18, previous year-to-date 103. There were no SWAT calls for June. Patrol car mileage 92,450. Just a shy under 500,000 miles driven for half the year. A couple of quick notes. Our new officer, Tyler Guyette, started. He's getting trained right now. Everything looks good so far to date. And we just got done with the Iola Car Show. We had a large presence like we generally do up there, and no issues. I think it was a large crowd, but I don't have the numbers. And then I believe, Kevin, anything?
Any questions? Okay, thank you. Now, please stand on fire. We got to then to the records division.
I just wanted to cover a couple things other than what you can see. Heather Gall is on maternity. She'll be back at the end of August. And we're finally capable to take credit cards with the sheriff's office after quite a few years. So we just started that this week. So we're kind of testing it out, getting all the bugs out, and just be ready to go.
Kim, on that, on credit card, restaurants, beer, or bars, such are now putting a service fee on credit cards.
Mhm.
You know, there's a group, some of them do that. Do you do that on your?
Correct. 2.75% of the purchase.
Okay.
Yep, so that's on the person that's buying it, not on the county.
Yeah.
Any questions? Thank you. Then we will move on to the chief deputy.
This morning, I'd like to address some of the things that have been happening at the sheriff's office. And I believe, since we had our last meeting, we did receive all our printers from E.O. Johnson. I think all our printers are in.
Except for the two spare.
Yeah, and it was a 2-day process. I need to get them all in, and they seem to be up and working without complaint. Of course, the new 911 center will have to be equipped with printers also, but they came in, it was pretty seamless. You never know how that's going to go, but it seemed to work pretty good. It's a little different system. Now we can use our key cards to sign in and stuff for usage of them. And that works out a little better because guys like me, I'm gone for 2 weeks. I can't remember my 4-digit code. So, so it works out pretty good. And it's nice that pretty much the whole county now is tied into E.O. Johnson. So it makes it a little bit better on finance and such when we have that kind of system. What I was told also, we had tower projects on Capitol as far as New London, and I believe Waupaca and Cliftonville. And it looks like they're all being completed. So Andy says some billing might be coming through in regard to capital projects. They've been on there for a while. So, but it's nice to see them move on as far as that goes. I was also made aware that this is where my next segment is going to be. It's going to be about budget. I hope to, well, I will. Next month, I'm going to give you a short packet of what we're looking at. We don't have many capital projects. We're just retuning what 5-year projects we have on the squad cars, And then that maintenance garage is still on there at this point, and, you know, that's always open for discussion on that one. But our big one with the 911 center, we really don't have, most of our capital is capital under, not capital over. It's just, and I already seen, Heidi already changed the numbers out to 2026 on the squad cars with the 2% raise. So that's what I'm gonna show. And we're still looking at our capital under, but there's nothing really outstanding. I have this reach amplification, and that's an app with our phones in this building or in county property. We had US Cellular, and I think that's our hub in this building. It's going to be switched over to FirstNet. And that's a $7,000 cost that we're gonna be proposing. And then such as, and other items such as tasers and everything else we're looking at. So there are a few capital under items, but we're pretty well set as far as, you know, any major projects from here on out at this point for 2022. I will, like I said, I will have some paperwork to review and go from there.
Why are we switching to FirstNet? Better system?
Well, FirstNet works. What problem was, well, down here, we have a problem. Me and the sheriff could be at a meeting and we can't talk to you, we can't even text each other. We tried a few different systems. I think we can now, but that hub from really wasn't maintained the way I understand it from US Cellular in the building. So the other problem was FirstNet is a public safety entity in the state, and we're trying it because I don't know. Like Sheriff laughs at me when I said that Waupaca County is a geographical anomaly. I do not know why we have issues, so many issues with phones and other things in this county. But we're 4 miles away from each other, and sometimes we can't even talk to each other. We may as well drive down there and talk face to face.
With
So
US Cellular.
With US Cellular. So that's why we're giving it a try with FirstNet. Like every phone company I've seen in all my years here, they promise you the world and we hope for the best. And we're giving that option. But so far, I've been not had any problems. Sometimes it all depends on the day you're on that phone, it seems like. But it seems better for me. But and there's others yes, and there's others no. So we're trying both.
With FirstNet, it gives us priority. Like the blogged up system over at car show. If we were to call out, we'd bump someone else off and our calls would go through.
Yeah, because over there, if you try to make a call, sometimes it's say emergency call. It's an emergency, I lost somebody.
But they found out during 9/11, that was one of the biggest things that came out of that is priority. And they found that out at stadiums and everything else. If something really goes bad,
Yeah.
all phones go out or they don't work, or certain ones do and certain ones don't. So it's an extra lane they work with. That's why they do that.
Anything else? Any questions of the chief?
I just have a comment, Chair. You guys are at the meeting, at our HR meeting, and the 2%, we certainly hope that can be given, but it's not written in stone. Depends upon what the net new construction figures is that the state sends us, how much we can raise a levy. I think last year was about 205,000 we were allowed to raise a levy, and we don't get that for a bit yet, but pretty soon we'll find out. But hopefully we can keep that in there, just so you know, it's not written in stone.
All right, then we move on to the sheriff.
Do you skip Board of Medical because then water patrol is tied in with that?
Sure, absolutely. Kathy for medical exam.
All right, so for June, we had 24 hospice, 8 house deaths, 3 hospital deaths, we had 3 injuries, and on the back, I don't know if Kim copied it, but it just describes the injuries. There was 1 fall outside that resulted in hypothermia death. It actually occurred in Portage County, but she was signed on hospice, so that's how we ended up with it. But we did notify Portage County. There was a fall that resulted in a subdural bleed and a traumatic brain injury as a result of a car accident that occurred on 10/29/1991. And that was drug and alcohol related in the city of New London. No suicides, 1 nursing home. Had 1 drug overdose death, 1 COVID, 4 cremation only for a total of 45. 1 autopsy. We had a total of 32 cremations, 1 county pay, and 1 COVID death.
Good. Any questions for the medical examiner? Place that one on file also. Now we can move on to the sheriff's report.
Yeah, I'll go over all the checks that we received and some money for the canine. We had 1 from Jazz Petrol Mart, Waupaca for $300. We have 1 from the Crystal Lounge, Waupaca Crystal Lounge for $200. We have 200 in cash. We're not sure where that came from. And then we have $140.79 from cash from the Waupaca Crystal Lounge as well. We have 300 from Sunrise 4-H. And we have 1 from the Tavern League of Waupaca, $250 off for this canine.
Great.
So this year for the fundraisers for canine, we have a golf outing September 11th, and of course, the Rock Friday is rescheduled because we didn't have it last year. First Friday in August, Ken? First Friday in August. Which we hope for a good outcome on that. Let me jump down to the water control discussion.
Could you just explain what the Brock Fry is so everybody wants to come and participate?
Well, the
For the
broad
new
fry-
members?
The Broad Fry is basically fundraiser. We have a canine officer out there. We have the SWAT truck, the Ram MRAP, for display for the kids. We have tents set up for everybody to be seated. And we sell baked goods that people donate. And so it's pretty good Broad Fry. And again, Festival Foods will donate all the hamburgers and runs and buns.
What day is that?
Six.
August
August
6th.
6th.
August 6th.
Good, thank you. Now you can continue. I just want the new people to know. So
Sure.
they know where to come.
Audience. If anybody's watching.
I have a question, Pat. What were the total donations for the dog this month? You read individually, what did they total?
$1,470.79.
Thank you.
So sometimes we don't have the actual, like, we'll get in money for the plush dogs and the other things we have for sale. So that's not included in what I give the sheriff. It's just the separate donation. So that's why the totals are different.
And I see on my email that Community First is selling dogs. The credit union for the canine.
I know somebody mentioned it, but I don't know if there was actually a decision on that.
Dogs that they,
No, your dogs, the canine dogs, the little plush ones.
Yeah, I don't.
They sent it out. I mean, it's on one of their, they send stuff to their customers and it just said that they're participating in the
Yeah,
sale.
Santiago brought that up, but I think we told them, we really don't have many
We
left.
don't have anybody left and we wanted to save them for the rep. It's an option,
Come first,
right?
come first serve, exactly.
you know, they order more, I guess.
Okay, I'm sorry, go on, continue on.
So the water patrol on the chain has been a very interesting
discussion for a while. Dayton has sent me a letter, the town of Dayton, that they will no longer participate in any maintenance of the boat, any maintenance of the boat slips, or anything to do with water control. They wanted to give us the boat. I said, we don't want your boat. So the only thing they would be responsible for is the placement of the buoys, which is contracted to Packer Marine. It threw Farmington into kind of a upsetting atmosphere, you might say. The whole community, actually Dayton had a number of people on the lake that were also upset about it. But when I talked to Caroline, the chair from Farmington, I said, I've got a perfect solution, just like the Wolf River. You give us your boat, Dayton gives us their boat, we have no expense for boats. The slips are ours, no expense for those, and we'll just do our normal water patrol submission for all the costs. So you're gonna take them right out of it. We don't have to worry about anything they have as far as what they want done, how they want it done. Takes all the control away from them, puts it in our laps, just like the water patrol out of Wolf River. And Caroline thought that was a great idea. Dayton certainly wants to do that. So we're waiting for their chair with the supervisors to agree to that.
So we
When was
take,
the meeting for Farmington?
I
I'm
didn't
sorry.
think we wanted to.
we take their old boats. What do the slips mean? I mean,
Slips is where we park them, over in King Veterans Home. They stay on the lake. They're not transported like the Wolf River ones are.
oh, okay, they stay there, okay.
They can be. We have trailers. We can transport them over to Spencer Lake or any other lake.
Oh, okay.
But for the most part, they are stationed there in the slip. That way the officers can go there and get around and go up.
And then we get all the reimbursement. for
Yes, 100%.
Have we figured out how much that's going to cost us as a county? Or are we anticipating less service because we can now determine how much we want to be out there?
We're already getting less service because we don't have the manpower. Yeah. But we're gonna continue as much as we can. I'm not gonna commit to anything.
Understood.
The Lake Association's not happy about it because they want control. That's the first thing that came out of someone. Which is, now we know, they want to control. They can't.
Well, and now we're subject to also then this committee control and county board control with the budget. Because it has to go there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sheriff, if I can, and I think what you're gonna see at the county level, the big dollar amount will be when the boat needs to be purchased. Because we're already paying the hourly rate. So when the new boat needs to come, you're gonna see that, but that does get reimbursed 5 years, I believe, through the state.
Appreciate over 5 years, but you're in luck because both Dayton and Farmington said, do you mind if we donate?
Yeah.
For those purchases of those boats.
Well, there you go.
So,
Put it
I'm
in
sorry.
writing.
I didn't tell you
Put
that.
it in writing, we're gonna donate.
Good.
You know, whether it be a small amount or a large amount,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
still an amount that will defer some of the costs.
Yeah, because those boats, what, 25, 30,000 or more?
For 40,000.
40,000?
Yeah.
I thought both of those boats were cheap.
One had a tear in it, it was repaired. Dan thought there was another leak in there, the supervisor of the water patrol. Turns out that when we took it back, there was no leak. They fixed the first one, that was fixed and then tore again in the same spot.
They sprayed that rubber stuff on it.
TV,
Flex seal.
floating in the screen, floating in the screen door, but no.
Yeah.
They welded it and guaranteed their work. I think what you're gonna see, before the boats finally crumble up is the motors might go, you know, because we got a lot of tidal overs.
Madam Chair, may I be excused, please?
Yes, certainly,
Pat, if I comment a little bit,
yes.
because I'm a park and rec. And we, how can I say, we've been maintaining and paying for those boat landings in both those townships. And actually, it's the townships that own the boat landings, it's not the county. And our thing comes due 2025, and we have to decide whether or not we want to continue to be responsible for the boat landings. One of the expenses that we did push out to 2025 is that we were looking at spending at least another $25,000 on some of the docks. Needed some improvements, upgrades, whatever. And we pushed it out to 2025 because of the issues regarding the use of the boat landings. I don't think any of us were here long enough ago that would remember as to how it is we took on the responsibility of the boat landings, and it was actually the township's responsibilities, and then the water patrol as well, and then whatever agreements were made. And I know quite often years ago, like Donnie Fabricius, it would be verbal things, not written, regarding that. And I guess part of me kind of says, as Sheriff has said, you know, we take over the boats, we take over the water patrol totally. It's in control of that ourselves, so we don't have to deal with some of this issue of the boat costs and everything. But with Park and Rec, just to make you aware, I think we're also looking at that the county may look at giving it back to the townships, so that they're responsible. And I don't know, because I obviously wasn't here, whether or not there was one of those kind of agreements that we'll take care of the, you know, water patrol part of it, and then we'll pick up the boat landing as well. We'll do the boats, you do that. I mean, I suspect at one time there was some verbal negotiation as to what we get. And it comes down that the boat landings themselves are also an area of contention. And whether or not, like I said, the Park and Rec committee has been kicking around whether or not we want to continue after 2025. That would have no impact at all on the water patrol because we use King. It's actually the state property that we're using for where our boats are located on that. But I think we should always keep in mind somewhat that the what we do here also could impact a little bit what another committee is looking at possibly doing. Because once again, there's expense and such, and there seems to be attitude that the townships, chain residents wish to take more control over that waterway in so many ways, and therefore the boat landing might be something that we may consider not having control over it, since they're not ours in the first place, and the townships are responsible to maintain those, by the way, and continue with the four they have, unless they go through a very tedious procedure to remove them. That's whether or not we want to continue to put our money into it as well. So I just want to bring up the data as a Park and Rec. The boat landings are a concern for us and issue that we're going to continue to look at. On the idea of buying the boats, you know, once again, I don't know what the bargains were years ago. I like the idea that we have more control over the whole package, so you don't have the situations coming up again.
Every time they change it down,
Yeah, or actually, in Dayton's case, I think it's 2 supervisors on the 3. That's more of an issue, but you're right. When the town board changes, it can be an issue. And historically, sometimes people don't remember or respect history as to what was done previously and why it was done, and you know, respect that. We would have to obviously store the boats.
We have a place to store them as well.
Yeah, I'm certainly good.
Heated, it'll be heated in there.
Better. I think about every 5 to 8 years, actually, it was a short period of time we replaced them because they take a lot of heating and the motors, as you say, and such. And if I remember correctly, going back 5 years, so if I'm off by a little bit, I apologize. We're talking like $40,000. Then we've got trading the old boat too. So you might get something off of that where it brings it down a little bit, but, I don't think these boats like that have much value when it came to trade.
More so now than ever.
Well, now, yeah,
Yeah.
this year and last year, but, yeah, when we were doing it 5 years ago, there wasn't, we got it. You mentioned also, Sheriff, about fiberglass versus aluminum. And that's down the road, I think we have to, think about those things too, where perhaps a different style of boat than what had been used for years might benefit us more in those kinds of things. But once again, it's one of those situations where I can tell you that the boats and the trailers are very good quality that we initially paid for. I mean, when we bought ours, we Farmington bought it. We didn't spare any real expense. We listened to the water patrol people as to what they wanted at the time. And so I think the used boats are getting there probably pretty decent, at least in the short term. Wasn't originally in favor of us doing something like that, but looking at the overall situation on how the chain and such is developing, I have to go along and agree with the sheriff and say, hey, I think maybe it's time for us to take control over it and remove any of the outside noise that we get by having it the way we currently have it, and take control and
Accept donations.
accept it as a donation. We shouldn't pay them anything for it.
No, DNR has no issues with the transfer either. Yeah, if it's $1, that'll be about it, about the transfer. But talking with the captain and the lieutenant, it's gonna make everything so much easier. We're still gonna give them the same amount we currently have in patrol. But when we get those days where we don't have that patrol, we're not bound by any agreement or dissatisfied customer, you might say. So it's all ours, and it just makes sense.
I can recognize the problem with two different governmental entities trying to get together. And as I recall, back in the early days of finance, finance was probably gulping when they saw the $25,000 boat that was needed out on the chain. And I think that's when sort of the Farmington and Dayton came in to say, hey, we'll buy the boats if you end up whatever, because they knew they would be reimbursed. And they are technically, like you say, with the state statutes, they have to maintain the boat landings. They have to maintain the buoys. I mean, there's no question about that. You have to do that. So with the boats, there's nothing in there about that a town has to have a boat patrol for a lake. Whereas if we want to do it, we can. And so I'm thinking finance probably balked at the price of the boats and said, well, I mean, times were tight. So it's like, help us out here. And they probably could at that point in time. And it continued on that way. And if you're saying there's conflicts, because how do we do it? As long as we're able to do it the way that we want to do it and get reimbursed for it, I don't have a problem. It just becomes with, the other lakes in the county wanting also some of that, supervision that goes on. And I don't have a problem with that because you do come to Bear Lake, you do come to White Lake, you are out there with the water patrol, not certainly as much because we aren't as populated as the chain of lakes, but it is still there. And if we can determine where we need to be on the other ones, we say run it past everybody and see what you're thinking. If we can handle it and our budget fits it, go for it.
Of course, fuel and maintenance is 75% paid back last year. The boats would be 100% over 5 years.
That's good because the state owns the waters. So we do want to make them safe for everyone. Absolutely. Any other discussion or questions?
So I guess can I have an agreement that you guys are okay with us to take it to finance once it's approved through the two towns? I know Dayton won't be a problem. When is Farmington's meeting? Is that next week?
Monday.
This just says discussion, so if you want.
So then next month I'll have an answer from both.
Okay. Yeah, and then we can recommend that it go forward.
The green tax ever come?
And we'll, yeah, put it under there so that we have a definite. You know, whatever it has to be, I don't know if it's gotta be an agreement or a non-agreement because we're not doing it the same way, you know? Yeah, we'll have to ask, but good, thank you.
All I need is a letter from Dayton that says I'm amenable, so that's it. Perfect. And then they would have to do a resolution, I'm sure, for the amount of the actual cost of the votes. Even though we get it for free for $1, the resolution would have to probably,
I mean, you want something official that's there, yeah. Yeah, so that they know once we get done, this is what, I don't want to say we're in control, but we control it. Okay? Good.
that's all I have.
And the HR committee? Did you want to tell them that you went there and requested the 4 people?
Oh, sure. I was at the HR committee, and we're there, Carl. I asked for 4 additional dispatch communications officers. They just listened to what I had to say, explained why, obviously because of taking on Marion, Iowa, Fremont, and New London, of course, has always been in that mix. That gave us the extra responsibility. And you gotta remember with New London, they're looking at another screen too. Even though they're Spillman, we're Spillman, they're not together. It's a separate screen from Allegheny County's system. So it's a little different. So it's all these things that just keeps piling on. And I explained the reason for the 4 would be, even with full staff, we're still at minimum staff. Someone wants to take a vacation. A lot of times it's gotta be filled. And there's times when people call in sick, you're already at minimum. And you got bare minimum, and then they can't even use the restroom, they can't go for a walk. I mean, these people need to get out of that room. So that's pretty much how I explained it. The reason for that, because we've got movement all the time in that room. So if we had these 4 additional people, if someone left, now we're okay yet. Now we have time. You don't need to rush those interviews. So
Once we get them,
it'll get there. Let's just take it at that. And you know, we want to hire the right people. Sure, you could take a chance on people who might be a maybe, but then we got to do it all over again. So pretty much we discussed other things went into closed session, so I can't discuss those.
and Heidi said, when are the new positions? When does she want those by?
Would be January 1st when they would come in.
They would start them, but when do we have to request them?
Right now,
Right
For
now.
her. So,
that's the number she'd be working on.
okay. So do we need to formally do that as a committee? You know, to say that we're approving that, you know, because normally you give us a budget and then you add on how many positions you want and that all goes to her at one time. So that's what I'm wondering.
Well, we can do it that way, she's just notified ahead of time.
As long as she knows we're coming with 4.
She already
Yes,
knows it.
she was in
Yeah,
her room
yeah.
that day.
Well, and then, but next month we can make sure that we make that formal so that when it's in writing.
Except I don't think she's looking for that yet. She's looking for capital, right, Carl? Next year?
Capital, yes. Yeah, July 15th is in capital.
Okay,
Position, but salary and fringe, and expanded positions by July 31st.
see.
It
that
will
was
come
July.
before committee though. Yeah, it will come before.
Well, you can still request it, and then we can officially okay it in August then, you know, so that we have it. Then we'll have that right down, so we know that, because you're not anticipating any other ones, correct? Just those 4, yeah. Then we can make it official then before August. All right, anything else?
That'd be it.
Okay, thank you. Update on the new dispatch center. Show them a picture of what it looks like.
wish I had pictures.
I
Ron
got
showed
I got all kinds of them.
Ron showed me on his camera, he said, you wanna see what it looks
We
like?
will have-
Oh my
we will-
gosh, we gotta show
we-
these guys.
I could not believe between Monday when they rolled in to today, third day, when I walked in there this morning, I go, holy man, the wall's gone, in there.
So
And- Go ahead.
I'm taking the beam out right here, that big overhead beam.
Okay.
So Monday morning, they were here putting down that hardboard on the hallways, covering up all the carpeting. They knocked this wall out, this beam came out in 3 sections. They cut her down and they hoisted it out of there. Here they're taking that half wall out. And at 1:30 yesterday afternoon, that half wall that was here is gone. That chunk came down onto the floor and it shook the whole building. Matter of fact, pictures came off my wall in my office. But they got it removed. This morning, it looks like that.
Wow.
It's gone.
And we'll put together a
These
collage
half
of pictures.
rooms, these half rooms, that wall is down, and the wall that was in the, where the new kitchen is, gone.
Go show those.
I'm on my way, I'm on my way.
That is fantastic.
Yeah,
I mean, they are moving.
yeah, I know. I said,
I think they'll be done ahead of time.
Yeah, that's right, so.
And how is our,
They're hoisting the beam.
I was gonna say, how are our orders coming for things we need to go in once it's done?
well, that's the other thing. We are meeting on Friday with Marta about the consoles with that Eden that you voted on. We're meeting on Friday as far as that. I think we have a formulation of what colors and such. And they promised product that it will be here when it needs to be here, so, I haven't heard of any slow up, some on lockers, but I think we're, getting around that also. That was brought up by the architect, must be somebody who they're retained. Also cabinets in the kitchen, I think we solved that problem also, so everything seems to be on schedule as far as, getting done.
Now by lockers, you mean what kind?
Regular individual lockers for coats and.
Isn't that right next door? In the women's room, there's lockers in there.
Yeah, but they have their personal effects in their lockers in the comm center, like
Oh,
extra soup and their plates and,
oh, that's.
you know,
Okay.
Like food,
Yep,
you
gotcha.
can't go
Now I
any
know.
place.
Okay, I know now. I thought you meant cabinets. Okay.
You know, if you picture, you separate these tables, this is just short of how big that concept is gonna be with the company.
Oh,
We gonna do some artwork, so we have something to make good look at.
But I was in there today and I was suggesting, like maybe, because you're not gonna see the outside, why can't they get some green plants or something growing in there? Because Heather has that, got a grow light, Heather Nelson. Because she had a plant and it was starting to die, so she ordered a grow light. But why couldn't you do something like that in there?
something so it isn't just blue flat
Yeah,
surface
right.
like four
Yeah.
walls.
Right.
Well, one other thing that, well, Carl and I had to talk about too was having a camera facing the west and have it up on the monitor so they can see what the storm's coming in or whatnot. And also a camera by their window where the bird feeder is, so that they can still look up at the monitor and see the birds. Because, yeah, I mean, you're in a room, you need to see what's going on outside. You need, because that gives you just that little bit of relief. Just, you know, it doesn't have to be anything fancy, but it's still, they can look up at the monitor and see the cardinals and see the squirrels at the feeder. Just that little bit. Yep.
Is it put a mural on the wall there with a beach and tiki bar or something on the side?
I want to keep them there. I don't want them to take off.
But I agree, I think it needs to be something that's soothing as well as not just the bare wall. And
That's what
Carl
the
says we're
meditation-
coming under budget, so we should be able to do something. Yeah, that makes it nice.
They also, that was kind of interesting too, when I got called down, they said, Carl, can you come down and then Shane came down. They put the light, they already tried out a light on us and lights are totally different than these. I mean, they put this crown lighting LED, and it's supposed to be soft lighting with the dials, and it was kind of interesting, because I says, really, when you look at these lights, you cannot look at them, and when I was in the whole case room, all them years, I could not believe it, how it must affect you, that how this can bleach out. I mean, I had folders where there was no writing left, I had colors that were gone in there, and how these lights affect you all them years, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, so it was real nice, Krieger Sign Electric, they were here right away Monday. They got all the wire pulled off the conduits, and then they hooked up that grid light for Carl and I to look at. We had Julie from dispatch come over and take a look at it as well. It's a single LED down the middle with a diffuser, non-glaring on monitors, and it's dimmable. So, yeah. And you can look at it, right, Carl?
Yeah, I could look at it.
You can look at it and go, oh, I can't really, you can look at it.
If you have eyeglasses that are transition, you can't wear them with this type of lighting. They will not clear up enough.
Mhm. That's what we worried, mostly we're worrying about glare on the monitors. We have so many monitors. That is the special light, it's not supposed to affect them.
All right. Any other questions? Very good, Shane, thank you.
Welcome.
And Carl.
And like Tim said, once we get more pictures, we can put them all onto like a thumb drive so everybody can see them.
Great. Dates for the August committee meeting?
Carl and I are gonna be at a conference on Tuesday.
Okay, so what are you suggesting?
Would Monday work for everyone?
I got a zoning meeting next Monday.
Well, we could meet at 9, our legislators in town.
What time is yours?
Mine's at 10:30.
On Monday, the night?
Yeah.
Well.
On Monday night, no, excuse me, no, cancel it. I'm thinking it was Tuesday before. No, Monday's fine. Monday the 9th is fine.
Okay, what's yours?
At 9 would be fine. The other one's at 10.
I don't see land and water's not until next week. Usually it's the first Monday, but it's been, I'm assuming it'll be the first Monday, which would be way before that.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah, it's okay.
I'm good.
okay, yeah, I'm good, okay, August.
9 is the second one.
Sure, yeah, you're gonna be at that one too.
You'll send us so we all know. Well, when we're at the Brock 5, we can. Okay, dance hall permit. Then I can entertain a motion to adjourn.
Hold on, so moved.
Owen moves. Hardy second. In favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried at.
42.
Thank you. 11:42.
And I want to tell you
Yeah.
that I was on vacation for 72 hours